You want me to put that on my todger?
Harry's wife. Let them return. Could it be? What fresh madness might this be? You may well have thought, marvellous. We got rid of the Prince of Pink Pancakes. He buggered off overseas. And other than him being a ubiquitous appearance in the media, we rarely see him on these shores again. Even better, he took that clown of his wife, the self-absorbed narcissist, with him. Or rather, he followed after her, as skulking, she retreated from good old Blighty and ended up back in California via Canada. You were pleased that they were no longer involved in the royal family, the toxicity of the Gruesome Twosome less able to infect those stalwarts that had provided lives of service. You were dismayed by the conduct that impacted upon the late Prince Philip, and even more so on the late Queen Elizabeth II. It irritated you as a consequence of her unpleasant behaviours towards Princess Charlotte, the way that she tried to turn things around in relation to Catherine, Princess of Wales. And therefore you drew some satisfaction from the fact that they became pariahs from the royal family. But yet, what is this? A suggestion that the next stage is for them to return? Is this now the shift in PR emphasis of Harry's wife, realizing that nothing more can be squeezed out of their victimhood? That there is no possibility for them to really make it with the A-list because the A-list won't return their calls and doesn't even acknowledge them at restaurants? Is it the case that the plan, the endeavour to become notable A-list celebrities in California and the wider United States have failed? Is the money running out? Is the plunge in popularity such that they feel exposed, that they now decide rehabilitation is required and we will return to the royal family? I hear your sharp intake of breath. The what? Not even she would have the brass neck to attempt to do that after everything that has gone on. Well, I have news for you. A narcissist could and would behave such a way because the narcissist has no sense of shame. Irrespective of the way that a narcissist has treated a group of people, that narcissist, if the narcissism dictated that it was necessary and appropriate, could easily return, possibly exhibiting a degree of false humility, to want to be welcomed back and to be given a second chance. Indeed, many narcissists play upon the empathic nature of certain people to be given that second chance, to say, let it be water under the bridge. I've changed. I'm a better person. I have worked on myself. Those are words which are commonly uttered by mid-range narcissists that suggest that somehow they have recognized the error of their ways and that they have made changes and adjustments so that they have become a better person. Harry's wife cannot change. She is a narcissist. But as a mid-range narcissist, there is the possibility that she could falsely claim to have altered and changed her behaviour and that she is sorry for what has gone before. To this end, The Independent, with an article by Sean O'Grady, tells us, I'm hardly in a position to argue with the legal basis of the judgment by Mr. Justice Chamberlain in the High Court. The Beak has refused Prince Harry permission to challenge the decision of the Home Secretary and the Metropolitan Police to refuse him the opportunity to buy the protective security he had when he was a working member of the royal family. Mr. Justice Chamberlain remarked that Prince Harry's claims were not arguable, which I think is a technical phrase that has the opposite meaning to what you might think. So Harry has had it, as far as paying for police protection is concerned. Another case awaiting trial will hear whether the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are entitled to the same security that they were as working royals at a later date. As I say, all no doubt legally sound, but hardly common sense. It seems obvious that the police are supposed to protect certain people, events and locations because of the risk of trouble. Armed officers patrol airports. You sometimes see mounted police at football matches and protests. And diplomats, politicians and members of the royal family often have a 24-hour watch. Sometimes there are arrangements for football clubs, for example, to make a contribution to the cost. It seems illogical not to allow Harry the same option, and even less sensible to leave him wide open to attack, and as we saw in New York, harassment. The memory of what happened to his mother haunts him, and Diana's fate should haunt us all. She voluntarily gave up her bodyguards because she thought she was being spied on, and as we found, the private security she was given by Mohammed Al-Fayed wasn't adequate for the task. Do we really want that to be repeated with Harry and Harry's wife when they visit Britain? So it seems a very foolish decision by the government and the police to single Harry and Harry's wife out and leave them open to violent attack and intrusion. It will potentially mean that they and their family will come to the UK even less often. Hurrah, I hear you say. Which would obviously please some spiteful people who, despite having never met either of them, sugar alert, have worked themselves up into a state of visceral loathing. To my mind, this is doubly retrograde, because it naturally means even less chance of the historic rapprochement that is so urgently needed to heal the House of Windsor. The royal family needs Harry and Harry's wife for the very same reasons it did when the Sussexes got married on that warm summer day in Windsor in 2018. Was it really only a few years ago? They were fabulously popular. So much has happened since then, and none of it particularly good for any of those concerns. The rift continues to gnaw away at the institution, and Harry's habit of spilling the beans is beginning to make him look obsessive. It's harming his own standing and that of his wife, which used to be so high. Yet, despite everything, the obvious solution to the problems of both factions of the family is for Harry and Harry's wife to return to working royal status in some capacity. There is plenty for them to do, and they've shown they can be good at it, during the brief period before the media monstered them out of the country. With the right set of duties and with the automatic police and military protection they be entitled to, the Sussexes could once again be a valuable asset for an institution that, as we found at the time of the coronation, is not popular enough with the young. In other words, rather like Brexit, we need to reverse Megxit in the national interest. It feels like a forlorn hope, but it really is the only way that they can all secure a better future for the institution they all have a vested interest in. The House of Windsor need not be divided against itself. Well, that's Sean O'Grady's take. Who's put him up to that? Suggesting that Harry and Harry's wife return and rejoin the royal family. It smacks of sugardom, doesn't it? What are the responses to that? How do people regard that view? Well, FlatApp100 in the comments says, they can keep themselves and their drama stateside, thank you. Macaroon NY, they've proven themselves to be blatantly dishonest, with zero integrity and with no loyalty to king, country, kith or kin. There's no place for them in Great Britain now. Violet, you're kidding me, right? Harry's wife hated working as a royal. She retained professional frameworks in the United States, networks, agents, etc., while she was a reluctant, bullying, nasty, can we go, now we've shown our faces royal. Her scheme, which the Queen saw through and called her evil, was to make use of her one main condition of any relationship, her royal status, the money, the security, the accommodation, whilst having a lovely vacay for half the year in Hollywood, where there'd be no need to do any real work, with royal money keeping them afloat. Disgusting. And you think the royal family would want to work besides that? Makes no sense. Why would they want to come back here? There seems to be so much hatred towards them, orchestrated mainly by the right-wing press. Violet responds to that. Nope. Hatred orchestrated by themselves, on full display in writing, film and audio. Jafusha, come on, be serious. If this was your son and daughter-in-law and they'd gone public with such horrible stories about you, your other son and daughter-in-law, their children, other extended family members, would you be able to trust them enough to place them in positions that require such a very great deal of trust? To say nothing of the tremendous personal anxiety it would cause the entire family. You can't possibly say you would. And yet, Tiffany writes, finally an article that says it as is. Harry's wife was treated horribly after the press put narratives in the public's mind. It will cause anybody to want to flee. She was a complete asset to the royal family, and they were too intimidated by her popularity. And when they finally spoke their truth, years after, Harry's family did nothing to support them or to protect them against the media insanity, and even contributed to it, if it is Harry to be believed. People refer to them as untrustworthy for sharing too much. It's gaslighting on a global scale. If you treat somebody horribly for years and silence them, they can speak their truth as loudly as they want, and doing so is a major component of the healing process. Well, Harry's wife turning up there as Tiffany to write that point, a dissenting voice amongst many that take issue with such an article. Is this the author's actual view? Or is this an attempt to start to try and change views, to start to pave the way for a return? What do you think? Give me your observations in the comments.